Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's a pleasure to be here in the Capitol. I have some brief remarks, and then we'll take some questions. We're here today to talk about the desperate need to improve Alberta's economy. Right now, the Premier is traveling internationally and out of the province, and we had hoped that her trip would be a genuine attempt to welcome back investment to our province. But it's hardly been that. Her trip has been marked by sending confusing signals to investors about Alberta's position on cap and trade, as well as carbon taxes. After sending some confusing comments, she actually used the trip to explicitly campaign and endorse the federal NDP leader Thomas Mulcair. Yesterday in New York, she told investors that the Keystone XL pipeline is a threat to Alberta. A threat to Alberta. Imagine that. An Alberta Premier actually speaking against Alberta's energy industry to our largest partner in the world, to our largest energy customer. It is exponentially worse than the government giving senior officials a 7.25% pay hike. This sends the wrong message to Albertans and to the world. Alberta companies are bleeding jobs right now, and the Premier is attacking those very companies by calling a major project a threat. This at a time when our economy is sputtering. The Premier slams one Tidewater pipeline, the one that could be built the fastest. It kind of makes you want to give your head a shake. It's incomprehensible. This trip has done nothing to bring back confidence to investors or to Albertans, and the Premier needs to change her ways. The fortunate thing is that today she has that opportunity. We believe it's an important opportunity for the Premier to send a signal to the world that she is indeed serious about diversifying our economy and being open for business. Right now, Canada is together with 11 other countries in Atlanta negotiating a deal on the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We believe Canada's voice at the table is a critical one, and that the Trans-Pacific Partnership will be necessary to grow Alberta's economy. Alberta's exports have grown 63% over the past decade to all Trans-Pacific countries. That's over $113 billion in annual exports as of the end of 2014. For agriculture, forestry, and energy sectors, the Trans-Pacific talks are an incredible opportunity to grow our export markets. To date, we've seen the premiers of British Columbia and of Saskatchewan offering their support to the TPP, while our premier has remained silent. Unfortunately for us, this isn't a huge surprise. In fact, the new NDP government has been totally disinterested in being involved in the New West Partnership and working with British Columbia and Saskatchewan. The fact is, we do not even know if we're still a member of the New West Partnership. But today is the day that we believe it's time for the Premier to provide her full support and the support of the Alberta government for the TPP. It is critical to be seen by investors and our international trading partners. It's these types of issues that the Premier should be talking about while our economy is suffering. She should not continue to bash our key industries while she's abroad. It's time for the Premier to endorse Canada's efforts at the Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiations. It's also time for Ms. Notley to come back to Alberta and get serious about governing and leading this province. Alberta needs a Premier who leads during times of economic uncertainty. Now is not the time to be traveling out of the province, slamming our energy industry, and putting out press releases that endorse Mr. Mulcair. The Premier needs to get back to the Legislature and to explain and defend her economic vision. She needs to tell Albertans in the Legislature why she thinks she has a mandate to slam the Keystone XL. She needs to explain how she will wean Albertans off of coal power and electricity without bankrupting small businesses and distressing those on fixed incomes. She needs to explain what her government has exactly in mind when she talks about carbon taxes and vehicle taxes, and the end of October is not soon enough. The Wildrose is ready for the House to meet. We have serious work to get done, and Albertans have been desperately waiting for a budget to be passed since the one that was passed that Premier Alison Redford introduced quite some time ago. But even if Ms. Notley is not immediately ready to table the budget, there are many things that she needs to explain to Albertans, and the place to do that is in the Legislature. Earlier this week, we saw the government listen to Albertans and follow the lead of the opposition. We think that the Premier needs to listen to our advice again, get back to Alberta, and immediately call the House into session. In times of economic uncertainty and turmoil, our Premier should be at work here in Alberta every single day. And when Thomas Mulcair and Justin Trudeau bash the economic engine of our great country, the last thing we need is a Premier who joins in their song, but a Premier who stands up for Alberta and stands up for Albertans. Sadly, it seems that Ms. Notley is more concerned with ensuring Mr. Mulcair has a job on October 20th than she is with ensuring Albertans have a strong, stable economy that provides the rest of the country the economic advantages of a responsible energy industry. Let me be clear. In light of the Premier attacking our industry, remaining silent on partnership, and providing little to no leadership for the thousands of Albertans who are losing their job, she must call the House back into session so that we can get back to doing what we have been elected to do, and that is providing leadership for Albertans. Albertans are waiting. The Wildrose is ready. The only one that we're waiting for is the Premier. And with that, I'll be happy to take some questions.
What do you make of the comments from Merrifield this week?
Well, I think Mr. Merrifield has done a good job in Washington, working under some difficult circumstances to defend Alberta's interest. I think that we've seen in the past the only time that the NDP goes to Washington is to speak out against pipelines. And here we've had Mr. Merrifield there trying to defend Alberta's interest. The big challenge here is that we're going to go through a significant period of time with little to no representation in Washington. And it's just so critically important that during this economic turmoil, we have someone advocating on behalf of Albertans.
What difference has that office made?
Well, when you are negotiating with large governments, sometimes these things are difficult to quantify. And so, to point to a specific area, I don't have that for you this morning. But there is a cumulative effect to advocating on behalf of Albertans. And I think it's important that in the power centers of North America, we have a seat at the table, and we have someone there that is passionate about Alberta and passionate about our industries. And so it's our hope that we make sure that we have that in the future as well.
So should the NDP have kept him there? Is there anything wrong with them having their own person there?
Hey, well, I think that at the absolute very least, we should have extended the contract during a period of time where the government sought to have the professional of their choosing. We hope that the professional of their choosing is somebody who is a strong advocate of Alberta and of our industry. It's just so critically important that while Albertans are losing their jobs, we have someone who's defending Alberta's interests. And so hopefully that will be done as quickly as possible, as well as with someone who reflects the views of all Albertans, not just of the government.
On Keystone, is it not fair to say Rachel Notley's position on it has been fairly consistent over, not just since her time being elected, but beforehand and in the past couple of years?
It's one thing to not be outwardly supportive of Keystone, and she has said that on numerous times in the past that she doesn't think it's the best option and that they don't support it. It's entirely another to call a pipeline that is going to have jobs in Alberta a threat to Alberta. It's absolutely ridiculous to think that a pipeline that can get our product to Tidewater is a threat to Albertans, a threat to Alberta. And so while she may not support it, attacking ways to get our economy back on track in the form of moving more of our product to Tidewaters is totally unbecoming of a premier.
When she says she wants more of the upgrading to happen here in Alberta, have you seen a plan that would actually increase upgrading capacity here from it?
Well, we have seen very little plans from the government. That's exactly why we're asking for the government to reconvene session so that she can explain those sort of plans to us. But let's be clear, whether we're shipping bitumen or whether we're shipping upgraded product, we need pipelines to get those products safely to markets. It's exactly why we need to be endorsing the TPP, because we need to be expanding the markets and the ease of access to those markets for many sectors right across Alberta.
Now, in fairness, she's not opposed to all pipelines. She spoke out in favor of the Trans Mountain Pipeline, Energy Eastfall on this trip as well.
Agreed. She certainly has spoke out in favor of some pipelines at times. But again, it comes back to the messages that she sends Albertans when thousands are losing their job and calling that and them a threat to Alberta.
I think she was saying it's a threat to Alberta's ability to get to other markets.
Well, we need to expand the markets as quickly as possible to all of the markets that are available to us. And so to pick and choose, particularly in a case like Keystone, where we have the quickest avenue, I don't think that it reflects the values of those who are being laid off in this province that work in the energy sector. And I know in the constituency of Old Didsbury Three Hills, I toured a facility earlier this week that will have half as many employees by tomorrow as they did by the start of the month. And it really hits home when you look into the eyes of those who are being laid off. And then you look at the premier, and she's not providing, in our opinion, the leadership that's required to lead and to create certainty in our trading partners, in investors, by going to the United States to attack the industry that drives this country.
Don't you see any benefit in doing a trade mission like this in power centers in North America?
Well, I certainly think there's benefit if she's championing Alberta, but we haven't seen that from this trip. We've seen, the threat comments. We've seen sending uncertain messages to investors about Alberta's position on cap and trade and a whole raft of issues. So if the premier is going to travel to actually champion our causes, then certainly there can be benefits. But if the net result is what we've seen, then absolutely there's no benefit.
You said that she was, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, go ahead.
You said that she was campaigning for federal policy.
Yeah.
You're referring to the cap and trade, or what else are you referring to?
Yes, sending some uncertain messages. There's also a Facebook post that the Alberta NDP released on their Facebook page talking about the support of the federal party. And so we see this all while she's out of the province. I think it's very concerning. Also spending significant time in areas that are important to the federal NDP and coaching language that might be conducive to being assisting them. I think that at the end of the day, she needs to be in Alberta providing the leadership to the thousands and thousands of Albertans who are losing their job and instilling confidence in Alberta and those people. And the best place to do that is in the Assembly.
So she shouldn't be in Montreal talking to the Chamber of Commerce, or in New York talking to investors, or in Ontario talking to Premier Kathleen Wynne.
Well,
You're saying she shouldn't be there.
She definitely shouldn't be there if she's not championing our causes, and I think we've laid out a case to show that she isn't doing that. The other thing that I think is critically important, while she's in Ontario meeting with the Ontario Premier, we have seen absolutely no action from this government on critical partnerships like the New West Partnership and we've seen no meeting. We don't know if we're part of those. Meanwhile, she spends time campaigning in Ontario, where we know that they're supporting leaders who aren't conducive to supporting Alberta's economy.
We'll
I'm
take a
sorry,
couple more
I'm
questions.
sorry, but who's she actually then campaigning with? Like, she's meeting with Kathleen Wynne, who's been very overtly supporting Trudeau.
Yeah.
And the Premier here is an NDP, so who is she there campaigning with?
Well, I think that we've seen her coach her language that is very supportive to the federal NDP leader.
Referring again to the cap and trade.
Yeah, absolutely. As well as you can check out the press release
Again, speaking
from
of
the party.
cap and trade, which do you prefer when it comes to reducing emissions? This debate right now, cap and trade versus carbon tax, carbon levy. What should we be doing here, Alberta?
Well, on this particular issue, I'll defer to our energy shadow minister and let her make comment if you want to follow up her with this afternoon. I think the key points for today were the importance of expanding markets for Alberta with the TPP talks, and the importance of providing certainty to Albertans by getting the House back into session.
One more question?
Talking about certainty is a bit different topic, the raise in minimum wage coming in force today. How do you see things going forward, and how would you think that particular file was managed from the government's point of view?
Well, I haven't seen too many files that we've been overly pleased on with the government managing those, with the exception of the reversing of the decision of the 72.5% pay hikes. I've talked to hundreds, dozens of small business owners in the constituency of Old Didsbury Three Hills, where I represent, and I haven't found a single one of them that believes that increasing the minimum wage is going to provide more stable jobs for Albertans, that's going to see small business grow across the province. And as we charge towards a $15 minimum wage during a time of such economic uncertainty, I just don't believe that now is the time to be dabbling in these economic experiments that provide additional pressures to small business. We need to be creating certainty for small and large business. We need to be providing a path forward so that they can expand, so that they can assist with those who have unfortunately lost their jobs, and increasing the minimum wage certainly is not going to do that. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk again soon.